change.
However, it's if you're not able to identify that you've been able to kind of have whatever you want, you're bugging. This is why you can entertain multiple, because black women now have to take these things. He's gonna have at least one kid.
No,
might have been to jail once. He might be a little undereducated.
Can we talk about that? This is not on the fact sheet.
Oh, that
this
goes
is not
into
on the fact
hypergamy
sheet.
too.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's get
that goes into hypergamy.
Please
as well.
Explain to us what hypergamy is, please.
And child,
Miss Eloho, give it to them.
so hypergamy is basically just marrying up. So marrying a man that has more either higher social status, financial status, marrying up. Okay, that's hypergamy. Now, I mean, that is a big conversation that's happening on YouTube. I haven't really played much of that into that conversation.
Not yet.
Because I feel
we
not
think
yet.
You should feed into it though.
I like those shades. It's
Those
like
are
green.
my shades.
It's like green
It's
but black.
foolishness.
Like
I'd look
that's
and he's wearing
really
my
fire.
shades.
Like
okay.
I really like that.
I'm the
fine boy, no pimples.
I am the
I like
dad.
that. I like that
of the
green.
show.
I like that
Those are my
green.
dad
That
shades.
green black speaking to me.
All right, so let's talk about the marrying up, the choosing up, as they would say these days. The choosing up.
Yes. And you know what's interesting to me is that this is not something new.
Okay.
It's not something new. I feel like this has been happening since the beginning of time.
For sure.
It's kind of like, if you think about it, it's fundamentally like what it means to be feminine, you know, to rely on a man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've seen Game of Thrones, right?
I don't really watch things. I don't watch things.
But you see
that people
I create
watch.
things that people
I create
watch.
things. But no, I should watch things.
Have you ever
I should
seen
watch
Beyonce?
things though. I've seen Beyonce.
I know you've seen that one.
Wait, what, the Nigerian film? Okay, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I just making sure. now I understand.
But yeah, so you know, it kind of basically is what it means to be feminine. But you know, in 2020, we have the whole feminine movement. Women want to be equal, and that's great. I think that's great. But I think there's levels. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I personally can't propose to a man. I will not get on one knee and propose to a man.
In order for a man to marry you, they have to come bring $20,000 to your dad and buy gifts.
So
I heard that. This is why I dated an African.
It's called a dowry.
Well, I'm not paying that because
so
you already get on my nerves.
No,
so like, I don't understand. Like,
no, you need to.
See, look, you getting angry.
Let her finish.
You need to.
Let her finish. Go ahead.
So then, some points I wanted to bring up was that, one, this is not something that's new at all. Mm-hmm. And it varies from culture to culture. Now, my issue is, right, like within the Asian culture, they practice hypergamy. African cultures practice hypergamy. White American women, they're taught from little girls to practice hypergamy. Mm-hmm. When it comes to Black American women,
then she a gold digger.
She a gold digger. Mm-hmm. Oh, that bitch
crazy. She's just looking for money.
That bitch just wants you for your money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And
right.
I have an issue with that because it's something that, you know, unfortunately because of slavery, Black American women have been disassociated from that. Now they're saying like
you can't want anything good.
You can't want anything good. Oh, if you want a millionaire, that's the issue. Oh, you only date rich niggas, rich men. You know, it's frowned upon, and it's unfortunate because that's technically what is holding us back. It's like we're kind of late to the party. White women have been doing this for centuries. Other women have, Asian women, they
wait and they steal all the NFL players.
Everyone does it.
They're taught. That's what they look at it as you're supposed to. You're not supposed to bring some guy home to your parents that doesn't have anything going for them, and that you're having to like, oh, I have to help him with this. I have to pay this bill. I have to do that. I have to help him with his job. I have to help him find a job. But like if a Black woman does that, it's because it's totally, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to uplift the king in your life. You're supposed to uplift Black men. You're supposed to help them. Right. And other cultures is not taught. It's like, if he ain't got nothing, what is he doing here?
Why is he here?
What did you bring him here for?
No, seriously,
but at the same time,
in certain Asian cultures, sorry, my last point, in certain Asian cultures, it's like, if he's not making more than your father, no.
You can't leave.
Automatically.
You gotta make more than the pops.
Automatically. Because when you come into the family, you have to be able to provide more.
Yeah.
Oh, she grew up in this house. She needs to have this. Like, that's generational wealth. Like, that's how you literally create generational wealth so that your grands and your great grands, nobody has to worry.
Somebody tell me I'm punching father straight in the face.
But to argue against it, but to argue against it is like, think about Black men as opposed to a white man, as opposed to a Chinese man or a Japanese man.
Or an Asian.
Yeah, that too. I'm just breaking it down.
Right,
Give us
yeah,
a couple
right.
more categories. But none of those other races have been as have been marginalized the way that we have. There are.
What did I say in the group chat?
Yeah,
I was born in 1980. Martin was assassinated only 12 years before I got here.
Right.
Our parents didn't even know how to really
You gotta talk to
parent
me.
correctly and teach like the
segregation
whole
wasn't that
rhetoric
long
I gotta
ago.
give my
Right.
kid.
I
is
think
different.
sometimes we think it was like a million years ago.
Nah, it
like,
wasn't that long ago.
It's like 2 seconds ago.
segregation was it was
2
it wasn't
seconds
that.
So like
yeah.
all of that to say, whereas Mr. Rothstein or the
Right.
Rothstein
Right.
family
Right.
or the
Epstein and Epstein
or the Epsteins or the Hoes or the Chins, they have had
true.
generational wealth in their family for years.
That's true.
So
Correct.
the generational the opportunity for generational wealth has been afforded to them. Whereas
Right.
the first millionaire in my family,
Disenfranchisement, man.
right? The first millionaire in my family might be my dad, or might be me, or might be my little brother.
Right.
So for a woman that is coming from a family that has a millionaire in it, or a slew of 100,000aires, and no one in my family has ever had that money, for them to be like, "Oh, you don't make as much as her father." Well,
Well,
Right.
a lot of black
let me tell you.
women
Let me tell you what I do
don't that
have.
either.
Let me tell you what I do have, and let me tell you what I'm working towards.
But here's my issue with that, right?
Let's go.
Because I appreciate that story, my brother. I appreciate it. I love that.
She's really good. We gotta have her on here like again.
But like I appreciate that. But then my issue is that while you're working on becoming that 100,000aire and that millionaire, you're dating women that look like me, and then that million comes along or that 100,000 comes along, and all of a sudden she looking like this.
You're with
Nah, you
Cadence.
thinking about that? You thinking about sports players?
So
Yeah.
No,
No,
those aren't
everybody.
those aren't.
We're thinking CEOs too.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
about
but
CEOs.
you're thinking about-
I'm thinking about not even only rappers, not even people just in entertainment, but like businessmen that are at the top. You go to these meetings, and trust me, you go to these meetings, and you're like
You
the
know what?
only black
It's a
woman.
big deal to the Nigerians
Everybody
in London.
has
the
rings,
Nigerians in
and
London
nobody
are
look like
all
me.
with white women. It's a facto.
Everybody got rings.
It's a thing.
Everybody got a millionaire on their arm, and I'm like, oh.
I can't really.
So my
I
brothers
can't
get
really
up
speak
and
to it.
get and go left.
I can't really speak to it.
I mean, but you can acknowledge that it happens.
I'm not gonna say that it doesn't. We know it happens.
Have you?
But is that the rule or is that the exception
It's
to the
not
rule?
the rule, but it's like white.
It's not the rule,
White
it's
and
just
lighter
a-
women are considered trophies for the very reason
It's-
of
yes.
like you just it goes
Trophy
back to what we
wife.
were
I
saying.
forgot who did
as
the
far as being
interview.
trained to accept
And
a
you know what
certain
it is?
thing, they're already more like, oh, okay, he's supposed to provide for me, so you're stepping into that role. Versus, you look at us as like your riders. We're supposed to grind with you. We're supposed to help you, uplift with you, and then you already look at the Asian women, the Latino women, the white ones, whoever, or just exoticals. It's like,
Right.
oh, she's supposed to be taken care of. She's not supposed to be out there working in the fields. I'm supposed to take her shopping.
If you can
It's
work
also
on
her hair
inspiring,
done.
but it's also the aspiration to whiteness. And I think, to an extent, for the most part, many black people have that, like we aspire to whiteness. So once you get into those spaces, the last thing is, let me take that white man's wife. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I got everything now except his woman. The thing that he holds most precious is the white woman. Oh, I'm gonna get that too now. Now I got that. I got the land. I got this. My ancestors would be proud. I've seen people. My ancestors would be proud.
So then could we say that that's like toxic ethnicity?
Ethnicity?
That's
Kind of,
toxic
right? Because
Toxic.
Masculinity,
That's
yeah.
toxic
Is it
masculinity.
toxic
It is.
Yeah.
No, because
It is.
you're okay with being a certain race or being a certain way and being raised a certain way, and you have respect for women that raise men like that, but you don't want to be with that race or that ethnicity.
You just
toxic.
you would call it colorism or self-hatred.
Self-hate,
depending on which one you look at
anti-blackness.
it.
Yes,
That's,
absolutely.
I call it big trash. Big trash.
Big trash. That's a fact.
Would you ever?
Would I ever what?
Did it, white man?
Absolutely. Why not?
Wow.
Wow.
I actually have.
Wow.
My God.
I have.
Okay.
Man,